Ambassador Ali Al-Dhaheri, welcome to The Point. I understand that Chinese President Xi Jinping visited your country last July. So ever since then, what has been happening to bilateral relations between the two countries? Would you tell us what's the current state of Sino-UAE relations?
Let me start by thanking you for having me over here. Let me start by since the precious visit and historical visit of President Xi to the UAE last summer, there has been a lot of activities, of course entailed a lot of agreements, but on the top of these agreements is the comprehensive strategic partnership between both countries, which is touching many different important areas: education, healthcare, technology, artificial intelligence, of course, part of it, energy, particularly renewable energy, and so on. So it's a very exciting time, particularly, of course, after the visit of President Xi.
So I see that already in trade there's been a very good performance between the two sides. For instance, in the first 5 months of this year, China's US dollar denominated exports to the US rose some 13% on a yearly basis, despite China's trade with the United States slumping some 15% year on year. How do you look at the relationship, the trade and economic relationship between China and your country, especially against the backdrop of trade tensions between China and the United States?
In fact, even if there is a slowdown in the world economy in general, we see trade and business activities between UAE and China, in contrary, is growing. And if you look at for the last 5 years, it's doubled the activities, and we are looking into the next 3 years to 5 years to double what we have achieved.
What are the reasons behind such counter trend, let's say?
Well, it's first of all, there's sharing beliefs, sharing values, and in fact also this is complementing the initiative of One Belt One Road, where UAE is due its geographical location, but due to its very dynamic, very capable infrastructure, providing an excellent platform in terms of re-export, in terms of being a hub in that part of the world, close to Middle East and close to Africa. So all of these elements, on top of all of this, it's stability, prosperity, strong economy in general. So all of these elements giving the UAE an excellent platform and complementing the big vision of One Belt One Road of the People's Republic of China.
You mentioned this Belt and Road initiative. You also said that the UAE could be an additional bridge of cooperation and relations between China and the region. What does relations with China mean for your country? What does the Belt and Road initiative bring to your country and, in your understanding, to your region as well?
Let me take your question in different parts. Okay, what does China means for us? China, it's a very important country to work with. China is the second biggest economy and the most growing economic power, being a Security Council member of the United Nations. So with no doubt, China is a great country to work with, and with the activities happening here in China and what we see is taking place in terms of initiatives, in terms of reformation, in terms of openness, in terms of the principles of sharing, prosperity and growth, not only within China itself, but among the whole world around, which is what's interesting. It's sharing the same values and beliefs what UAE we are looking at. So there's an excellent chemistry between us and China in terms of how we see the ideal and the right model of working together for our nation and for our own people. So should not be a wonder why the economic parameters are showing very positive numbers.
What does the Pelton Road initiative mean, especially for you and for the region? Because just now you talked about the position or the natural advantages that the UAE has for this initiative, right? But what's the other way around?
For us, One Belt One Road initiative is not purely a trade or economic model. It is looking to connecting countries, bringing people closer to each other, sharing prosperity. There has been many countries which is their infrastructure not been looked at or not considered, but now we see there's a big ports been developed, a big airports been advanced, railway connecting countries, schools, cultural exchange have been growing. So many elements entails the initiative One Belt One Road concept.
Would you, at this moment, maybe bring a good example, a concrete example, let's say, of the kind of cooperation that has been fostered under this initiative that you found very interesting and you would like to continue to promote in the years ahead?
I think what is really interesting, good example, for example, the development in our free trade or free zone industrial ports, for example, is providing excellent platform for re-export. We are witnessing close to 60% of China's export to the region, to Middle East and Africa, is coming out of our ports. So it's providing excellent, let's say, hub or platform. Apart from this, our sound airlines providing sort of connectivity for our fellow Chinese to be connected to the rest of the world. For example, we see more than 3.5 million Chinese only transiting through our airports, apart from 1 million Chinese, of course, or more enjoying being in the UAE.
Again, that number, however, is also very, very important, and it has been growing. I mean, the Chinese visitors going into your, staying in your country, and of course, many would go on to visit other countries in the region. Actually, according to my statistic, China is the fourth largest source of visitors for your country.
Sure.
So, in terms of tourism, for instance, what kind of benefits has your country reaped from the growing Chinese numbers, and what more would you like to see in the future so that there is more people-to-people contact?
I see that both countries' people are becoming much more familiar than each other than before. I can see that UAE people, they are getting more familiar about Chinese culture, Chinese Spring Festival celebrations, and so on. And of course, a lot of Chinese who are coming and visiting UAE, getting more to know about our culture and to see a different variety over there. So the objective, what is achieved out of this, our people getting close to each other. But not only this, we are seeing growth of business cooperation. We are seeing close to around 4,000 companies are established over there in the UAE. So what is interesting that our fellow Chinese getting more familiar about our country, and they are more familiar about what the opportunities and exchange laying in front of them over there.
But having been in China for a while, what do you observe as to the level of understanding among the Chinese people, of people from your country? What do you think will benefit from will benefit bilateral understanding even greater, so that the Chinese people know your side better?
Well, UAE is a very exceptional country in terms of that we have more than 200 nationalities live in the UAE. The country is very stable. There's a lot of opportunities, very strong economy. It's an opportunity for everybody over there to find their way and to establish themselves in the UAE. What Chinese know about UAE, they know for sure this is a land of opportunity, a great opportunity to establish over there. And I believe, particularly the business people, they see UAE as due to its location, but due to its infrastructure in terms of connectivity, in terms of stability, is a great place to establish themselves over there and as a hub for the rest of the region.
There's also an interesting story of Chinese people and, of course, people from your side sharing expertise in certain fields with each other. For instance, I know the story that in May last year, a Chinese saltwater rice research and development project team actually succeeded in growing rice in Dubai's desert. That's a fascinating story. Tell us a bit about that. How is that changing possibly the life of people in your country?
No doubt, this technology is really a great thing to have, and particularly when we are looking to food security concern. So, and keeping in mind that the shortage of water in many parts of the world is areas of concern. So this technology, that ability to grow rice with the seawater and also in our free land possibilities, been showing a success, and we are really excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about some controversial story. For instance, the story about Huawei, where the United States has taken very strong action to persuade its allies and other countries not to use Huawei in the development of their 5G network. But I understand that the UAE's Telecommunications Regulatory Authority recently issued a statement regarding Huawei's products in your country, highlighting its mission to protecting consumer rights. Would you elaborate a little bit on the reasons, the considerations behind this statement?
Well, our regulatory, of course, this is a part of their role to ensure that the protection of all consumers. Okay, and we have two sound communication companies, Etisalat and Du. I believe that the opportunities for Huawei over there and to grow and to cooperate with these two entities, this is not new, and I believe there has been a lot of activities and working together to cooperate and sharing the objective, of particularly when it comes into 5G.
Mm-hmm. So basically that means even if there are risks, although there might be risks, it is manageable, it is within control. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit finally of this expo that's being held in 2020, which is supposed to be the first time that the expo is to be held in Middle East, Africa and South Asia. What is going to be the highlight of that expo, and how are you going to attract people from around the world?
First, let me start by expressing our thanks and appreciations to our Chinese friends in terms of their support to have the Expo 2020 Dubai at the initial stage, but also by being present and putting one of the biggest pavilions at the Expo 2020. Mm-hmm. So it will be it will be something very exceptional. This is for sure. We are looking to put in an Expo 2020 which is unwitnessed and unseen, and the leadership in the UAE really paying so much attention to put in an exceptional expo.
Any details you could share with us? I don't know how much is already being planned and what you can tell us, but what do you think would be maybe the range of themes and the special characteristics that would highlight the special position of UAE in the region?
The theme will bring different cultures, bring different minds, different the concept is more of sharing values, sharing of culture, and it will be a great place where can send a strong message of peace and harmony, and this is what we are looking into.
Okay, I wish the Expo great success, and I do hope that we'll have more opportunity to have you back in the studio and talk about the preparations leading up to it.
I look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Ambassador of the United Arab Emirates to China, Dr. Ali Dhaheri.
Thank you for having me. Really great pleasure.